Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Your Time Q&A every Wednesday where I address some of your questions. And today I've picked one question because I think we need some time to address it. And the question comes from Jan. Jan lives in Brazil and we had some contact over the last few weeks, which was great. He's working hard to become a professional musician and actually as a componist as well. And what he asks now is in relationship with the Beethoven opus 2 number 1, of which I made a recording several months ago. And he asked this: I played the sonata just over 1 year and I love it, especially the second and fourth movements. See, your interpretation helped me a lot to understand new thoughts in this piece. Do you think it's wrong to play this piece too fast on the piano? My teacher made me slow down a little bit because it's allegro, not presto. And do you plan the second and the third one? So to start with the last question, if I plan the second and third one of the opus 2 on clavichord, I doubt if I will. Second one, it's okay, it works great on clavichord. It's a little bit more difficult than the first one. The third one is a real pianoforte piece. Some passages work great, some passages are difficult, and in any case I would have to adapt some passages to make it work on clavichord. We can do another session if you want me to talk about that. What I will do, however, is when the pianoforte comes, and I will be in later this year in autumn, September, October, November, something like that, I will start, when I get used to that instrument, with the new series, all of Beethoven. And my plan is to have one recording a month with a piece of Beethoven in chronological order. And I calculated that it would take me about 6 years to play all works of Beethoven, which would be great, of course. So that's actually the reason why I ordered that pianoforte, because of the music of Beethoven. So coming back to your question, and you asking two things: if you would play this, if you play this piece, Beethoven opus 2 number 1, it's this one. If you play it on the piano, if that's okay to play it faster than on the clavichord. We have addressed that question in the last session, and basically what I said was that the clavichord is not guiding me in the tempo choice. So I would play it on the piano about in the same tempo as I would do it on the clavichord. Of course, the small differences are always possible. On the modern grand piano, I would do the same. Why? Because I think the one thing you have to look for is the effect you want to have in the music. And second question, if that's important to you, is what effect could Beethoven have wanted in the music? And that's of course much more difficult to answer because he's not here anymore with us to answer that. So we have to think and reflect on that. So we're coming back to that. Thirdly, what your teacher is saying is very right. First, never play pieces faster than you can play them in your brain, can think the pieces in your brain. It might sound strange, but follow your fingers in the speed that they direct. Whatever you want to do, if you want to play this allegro movement in the prestissimo, it's completely fine with me, but if your fingers cannot follow your tempo, your performance will suffer under that, and more than that, you will not learn anything, because learning process is in your head more than in your fingers. But your teacher is right, it's not presto, and it's great that he said this, or she, I don't know, because this piece is played very, very, very fast, often tempi like this. And just a few minutes on notation, and I know this is not an afterthought, but since you asked, and I don't know if I have addressed this in the afterthoughts I did after that recording, but we'll just mention a few things, and I'll put up the score in the video so you can stay with me when I talk about this. The notation here is very important. As with all 18th century scores, the notation is what makes decide you most of the things. And so what we see here is a clear alla breve notation. An alla breve with one accent per bar, faster structural note value, which is important. The structural note value here is 8 notes, fastest note value. It's a clear alla breve. You see this sign, this C sign with a line through it, also with fast 4/4 bar structures. But this is the old alla breve in the Baroque sense. What does an alla breve mean? It's in fact doubling the tempo compared to a tempo ordinario, which is a 4/4 bar structure with fastest structural note value 16, and the tempo there is around a second. We've talked about that also in the CPE Bach that's coming up. And the alla breve is doubling that, but halving the fastest note value, which is strange because if you compare those two structures, they're exactly the same. One 16 notes as fastest note value, the other 8 notes as fastest structural note value, and this tempo is the half of this, so you come together again. So why using this alla breve? Because the alla breve has a clear signification. I hope that's correct. But anyway, what it means is that the performance is heavy. So it's heavy, it's much more legato. Of course, you would play 8 notes a little bit more legato than you would do with 16 notes. They have a little bit more articulation, but also the structure and the atmosphere. And then we come on the aspect of affect when a composer uses the alla breve measure. And be aware that Beethoven knew what this notation was about. He wants to have a heavy, serious performance. So not something like this. Imagine that you had a hall full with very good musicians, and you asked to write a rhythmical exercise, and you just would tick this note value. Nobody would start writing quarter notes. Nobody. So Beethoven had this idea in his mind, and he searched for a notation that reflected his idea. So he came up with this alla breve notation with quarter notes. So if you listen to that and you don't know the notation at all, you should hear quarter notes. From the moment that you played it so fast that you would hear 8 note structure, then you are in a different notation, and your performance is off the notation of the composer. I'm not saying you're not allowed to do that, of course, but the question is then, is if that is the reflection of what Beethoven might have been thinking, and it's not coming from the notation. So if you play this as a clear alla breve, then you would have something around the half note 60. And I think that's about my tempo. I don't know if I'm spot on 60. And again, we will not make an afterthought of that. Maybe this would be great for a live session once, but then you see that all these different shadings, like fortissimo, piano, you get time for doing that. And there are great spots in this first movement that really work great. So I wouldn't play that faster. If you read what Czerny is writing, I think in the 30s, an additional article of book that he published with his piano school, he made an interesting book on all the Beethoven sonatas and bigger pieces, and he wrote for this movement: das Tempo ist ein lebhaftes, doch nicht allzu schnell alla breve. So the tempo of this piece is lively but not too fast alla breve. So he clearly uses the term alla breve. Even Czerny in 1839, I think, knew what an alla breve was. It would all disappear in the end of the 19th century, where the notation, the relationship between notation and tempo would be disconnected, certainly in the 20th century. So this is heavy. So I play it even a little bit slower. We'll do a live session on this. I think it would be great if you want me to do it. But so, to summarize, you take a tempo whatever you want, you follow your fingers, don't play faster than you can think, and certainly not when you're in your education period. It's all happening here. Then reflect if you would like to play the piece in a tempo that might have been something that was very close to Beethoven's idea. Then you dive into notation, read the old sources, and you will see that an alla breve is never fast in the sense that an allegro would be. So allegro in a tempo ordinario would be, it's a heavy piece, and search for the affect. Think on what the piece is affecting you. If it's F minor like this, it's really heavy, play it heavy. Don't play it as it is a dance movement in F minor. Again, this could lead to a 30 minutes afterthoughts episode. It's great to talk about this notation and relationship notation performance. If you have a question for me, I'm happy to address it if I can be of any use to you. So leave it in the comment box. I will read it, reply to you, and certainly cover it in one of the coming episodes. If you want to stay updated also on the upcoming live stream events, leave your email address on my mailing list. There is a link below. You just press that link, and you will be leaded to a box where you can leave your email address. You get a free MP3 of my inventions, and then you get a newsletter and other updates as well. Thank you for watching, thank you for sharing this video and subscribing if you haven't done so already, and we see each other very soon again.